Right now, we're talking with Rockford Christian head baseball coach Mike McClellan. His team won the 2A state championship Saturday down at Peoria. They finished a 36-6 season. And first of all, Coach, congratulations on a great tournament run.
Hey, thanks, Dave. It was quite a run. A lot of exciting finishes, a lot of really close, hard-fought games, and to watch our kids persevere and pull through in every situation was pretty special.
You know, last Saturday we talked to you after the game for the sectional title was rained out. So in a week's time, you won a sectional championship, you won a super sectional championship, and you won a state title. That has got to be one of the best weeks in your life as a baseball coach.
Oh, without a doubt, the best. So, yeah, it did. It happened quickly. You're right. We did get set back a day or so, or a couple days with the sectional. And it did. It was kind of a whirlwind. You know, we won the sectional title. We didn't have much time. We had a super sectional the next night, and a couple days off. We went right back at it. And in some ways, it helped a little bit because this time of the year, it's kind of neat to keep playing. You don't have to worry about losing your edge. So that probably helped. But it was quite a run. The kids did a great job.
Does it help also the kids didn't have time to think a lot about it? They just had to go out and play?
Yeah, I think a little bit. You know, we didn't have a lot of times in these situations. The more you hash it over, the more you think as a coach and a player. I think it can work against you. So you're right. It was just let's go back out there the next day and get after it. And we've been playing well, and they just kind of continued to roll.
You know, I look at the Rockford Christian Booster Club. I guess their next thing will be to get a new trophy case. That's a bunch of stuff you guys got this year.
Yeah, it was. It was kind of, you know, our goal coming in was to take the next step. We had lost a couple regional title games the last 2 years, very close games against good teams, and our focus coming in was, hey, let's get as good as we can here in the short season and do a better job at the end of closing games out. And we did it, and like you said, before you knew it, all of a sudden it turned into something much bigger.
Let's look at the state tournament games. When you look at that, you know, sometimes you can, in some sports, you can point to one guy that made it happen. You had about 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 guys that were chipping in right when you needed them. And as a coach, that's got to make you feel good that you just didn't have to depend on one or two guys to make this happen for you.
Oh, without a doubt. And I think that was one of maybe the biggest key is that we had, you know, we've had the great pitching with Alec Powell and Brandon Williams and Nolan Gazowski. Those three guys have been really good all year, and so we knew that the pitching was going to give us a chance. And, you know, all year we've had 9, 10 guys producing, and in some games early on we had a lot of guys, and then we'd score a lot of runs. And that typically doesn't happen at tournament time. The pitching continues to get better, and things tighten up a little bit. But you're right. If I went through our lineup top to bottom, and I did that the other night just sitting around, we had every single guy in our lineup either come up with a big hit, a big walk, you know, scored a big run. Everybody contributed.
You know, you look at that game against Peru, Dalio hits a walk-off single to win it in the ninth inning. You guys did like to make it exciting during this tournament run. I know that.
Yes, we did. And that's really when games go that deep, it's really more a reflection of the good pitching. We faced some awfully good pitchers as well. And, you know, they hit their spots, and then in a couple of those games it was more of an advantage for us. Our starter would go 6 or 7, and Gazowski would come in fresh behind them. And in both of the situations where we had walk-offs, the other teams had to stay with their top guy. And, you know, you get into the 7th and 8th inning, and those guys tire a little bit. And they were still good, but they left a couple pitches up, and we were able to take advantage.
And in the championship game, how big was it for Jake Kellerman to hit those home runs? Did they get the kids pumped up besides getting the lead? And you guys didn't usually do that a lot of times, get a lead and kind of hang on to it like that.
Right. It was, you know, so happy for Jake. He's a 4-year letter winner, and he's been right in the middle of our lineup since his freshman year. So he's got a lot of great memories at Rockford Christian. And, you know, to start the tournament, he's had a couple really important at-bats. He drew a couple really huge walks that everyone tends to forget about to keep innings going and do those types of things in some of our earlier games, but he hadn't hit the ball on the nose like we're used to seeing him. And then in Saturday's semifinal, he lines 2 up the middle, 1 to start the 9th inning. That ended up being the inning where we scored the winning run. And then for him to hit those, and especially at the high school level, high school sports in general are roller coaster rides typically, and it just really pumped us up. And all of a sudden, our kids were, you could see it in their eyes. There were a couple of still shots that I looked at this morning that people took at the game and kind of forwarded to me, and you could just see the enthusiasm and the intensity in our kids after Jake hit those home runs. So those were not only game changers from a score perspective, it just really pumped energy into our guys to finish things out.
And Brandon Williams had a Brandon Williams type of ball game, and I know he only struck out 2 people, but he controlled the way they played yesterday, Williamsville.
Absolutely. He, he's been so consistent, and special for me to see Brandon do what he did, because he's another guy who's a 4-year letter winner. We were sending him out there as a freshman at the varsity level, working hard to get guys out, and you just saw him grow and develop and mature each year. And this year, when he was a freshman and a sophomore, sometimes I'd have to go out there and talk him into staying with it. And this year I'd go out to talk to him, and he would just kind of look at me and say, "Coach, I got this. We're fine. Let's go." And it was very special to watch him. You can just see it in his eyes that he knew that he wasn't going to let this opportunity pass.
And you've talked about this before, when you can bring in Nolan Gazowski to put out the fire, especially with 2 men on in the bottom of the 7th inning. A lot of teams really don't have that opportunity. You got like a stopper at the high school level. That's amazing.
Yeah, it really is. And Nolan's been good for the last 2 years, just not as consistent last year as a sophomore. And then early on this year, he had some opportunities to close games out, and then he started and pitched a 3-hitter against Rockford Boylan, and kind of since that day, he's been pretty lights out. I think that really helped his confidence, as it should have. He beat a very, very good team and just had a great outing. And since that day, he's just been one of those guys that says, "Hey, give it to me. I'm going to get this done."
And I understand, and I heard, and I saw that David Prisby had a great catch that a lot of people sometimes forget about those things in the heat of the moment. Some big home runs by your DH.
Yeah, in fact, I was talking to my son about it this morning. They hit a couple balls hard in the first inning. Dave comes in and makes a diving catch for the second out. And, they came up and had some good at-bats in the first inning. And, if those balls fall or they're not right at us, they could have put some pressure on us early, and things could have been a little different. So that was a huge catch.
I guess when someday when you look back and the grandkids are coming to the house, you can look at your son, the catcher, and say, "Wasn't that fun back in 2015 winning that state championship?" Yeah,
no doubt those days are coming. We're still trying to digest last night, so it was a great. Anytime you get a chance to experience this with your kids involved, it's extra special. And Jake's been a kind of an anchor back behind the plate for us this year, and he's very solid, understands the game, knows what he's doing. And when you got pitchers like we have with a catcher back there who knows how to handle them, it really gives you an advantage.
When you look at your team chemistry, we talked about that earlier, you got a lot of it. Is there somebody that on the roster that doesn't get the ink and the glory and all that stuff? Is there one guy that you say, "Well, he gets overlooked, but boy, he's sure been a key part"?
Well, we've got a couple guys that way. I look at Jake Google, who's our right fielder, and he hit the walk-off home run against Warren Stockton in the ninth inning to, I think maybe it was the 8th inning, to win that regional championship and kind of set us on our way. And Jake's just a hard-working, very solid, knows how to play the game the right way guy, who's done some really great things for us all year long. But in the tournament and as we go in terms of media coverage, I think he's probably the guy that's got the least amount of coverage, but deserves just as much, if not more, credit than anybody else.
When you look back on this tournament run, I know it's still kind of exciting in your mind, and you're still trying to realize what happened. Was there a defining moment, you think, in the tournament where you said, "I think we really can do this"?
Well, I think the Warren Stockton game was such an intense, hard-fought game, and we made some mistakes early in that game and kind of dug ourselves a hole. And for us to come back and win that game in that kind of setting where it was crazy the whole day, I think that really showed our kids, hey, we can do this, and we can win close games at the end. And I think that would be the time when we looked at each other and said, hey, if we keep doing what we're doing and stay the course here, that we're going to have a shot to go deep.
And I noticed you had some pretty good fan support down in Peoria. How much does that help you when you're away from home like that?
Oh, that was absolutely wonderful. I mean, to see as many people show up as they did, and that enthusiasm is just contagious. When Jake hit the first home run, that place kind of erupted. It even, as loud as it got in a stadium like that, even surprised me, and it kind of made me look up to look at the crowd to see how many people were there, and everyone was going crazy. And those are just things that spark you, and I think they give everybody energy. So the crowd was huge. Support was great.
And as I understand, that's the first state championship for Rockford Christian, and it's also the first baseball championship for a Rockford state line area team. That's just amazing, isn't it, Coach?
It really is. I didn't know the part about the first baseball title around here. There's a lot of good baseball being played around here, so that surprised me, actually. But it probably is a little bit of a testament to say, hey, it's not easy.
Right.
These things just don't happen. And we had a great group of kids. We don't take very many days off. We work hard, and I think the credit goes to them. But it's not an easy thing to do. State titles just don't happen. This has been a process that's been in place for 4 or 5 years, and a lot of our kids have been a big part of it. And hopefully it's going to be the first of many to come for this area, because there's a lot of good baseball being played around here, a lot of good teams.
For you, it's the second state title. I know they're both special to you, but how does that feel? You won in football at Forreston as a football coach, and now you've won with your baseball team at Rockford Christian. I mean, it's just like having a cherry on top of your sundae now, isn't it?
Absolutely. It was bittersweet when we beat Forreston, because they were trying to get to the state tournament level for the third straight sport. And I heard from a couple of their kids yesterday who said, it was really exciting for them to see us finish it, because they didn't want to lose to anybody but the state champs. So at least we were able to do that. And but the football in the fall was great too. Coach Diddick, Coach Zick over in Forreston have done a great job with that football program, and it was kind of a culmination of many years of hard work for those guys too. They've been building it over there, and I was lucky enough to come on staff and kind of be a part of that ride. Learned a lot from those guys, and it was a very special experience too.
I look back on this tournament run, and I love sports movies. I think someday we're going to have a Rockford Christian baseball TV made for movie. Who would you like to play you, Coach, in the movie? You got anybody that you'd like to pick out?
Boy, I don't know.
Tom Cruise, somebody like that, Coach?
Yeah, if you want to go there, I'll let you.
That's good.
But I don't know if I don't know if I would deserve anybody of that stature. But hey, anybody who just loves the game, enjoys working with kids, and understands that, hey, it's a great experience, and it's great to be the coach of this team. But there are a lot of great people around you. This is more a reflection of the types of kids we've had, a great assistant coaching staff, and then just the parents and school support was all great.
This is one thing you look at before I let you go, Coach. The fact is, a lot of coaches don't get state championships. They don't get a win it the way you did, with some excitement and all the good ingredients together. Is this something that when you first started coaching, you said, boy, that would be nice, and now you finally accomplished that?
Absolutely. As a coach, getting to the state level in any sport is always a goal, and it's always something that's in the back of your mind that you're striving for. But, it's kind of funny. It's not something that I really think about a lot. It's just kind of sticking to what you believe in and sticking to the staples of what really I think is at the core of all successful groups and people, period, is you just got to roll up your sleeves and go to work. You got to make sure that everyone believes in each other. The relationships, the trust between the coaches and the players is huge, and you're just trying to continuously build that. And I think when you do a good job of that and you have a whole group of people that are believing, then that's kind of how this happened. And it just kind of caught fire, and we were able to enjoy it along the way and win some very close games. But I think, just the group itself and how committed they were to each other is the key.
Well, thanks so much, Coach, for taking time out. Congratulations on winning the championship with your kids and your own son. It's just been fun to watch you guys, and just thanks for taking the time today.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
We've been talking with Coach Mike McClellan, the head baseball coach at Rockford Christian. They won the 2A baseball state championships down in Peoria. For StatelineSportsHub.com, I'm Dave Schmidt.